Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a good one today. I'm Nick, and today I'm ranking all 4 Sleepaway Camp films from worst to best. Now, some of you may know of the 90s Sleepaway Camp film, which will not be included in this list because, quite simply, the film was never finished. The studio that was making that film went bankrupt during the filming, so they didn't get to film everything. There's parts of the movie out there, and I guess somebody put it together themselves with editing, and they included newer scenes that they filmed themselves and added in as well. But I don't see this as a real Sleepaway Camp movie. It's more like a fan film since they took pieces from a real movie and moved everything around. So that one will not be included in this list, guys, in case you're wondering. But the other 4 films will be. So without wasting any more time, let's head over to the camp and rank them. So easily coming in last place, we got Return to Sleepaway Camp from 2008. This is another whodunit like the original. We get the same director as the original, and it feels a lot like a direct sequel to the original. For starters, this movie has one of the most obnoxious main characters I've ever seen in a film. Alan, he is terrible. He's just as bad as the bullies in this film. And the film wants you to feel bad for this kid, but there's just no way I'm going to be doing that when he's just a complete idiot. And his biggest catchphrase is, "Your ass stinks." It's like, what? Just makes it real hard to sympathize for the kid, and he's not like awkwardly shy or anything. He's just an asshole, much like everybody else in this flick. It was cool to see Ronnie again, running the camp just like in the first film. We get to see Isaac Hayes, the chef from South Park, actually play a chef in this film. And just feels like they took that character right out of South Park. And also we get Ricky from the first movie coming back for a small part in here. And those are kind of the coolest parts of the movie, and they're really just tying back to the original. I mean, the mystery of the killer is not too bad. They did have a few red herrings here and there, and it does kind of keep you guessing. Although I kind of figured it wasn't Alan the whole time. And the big twist at the end, I figured out like halfway through the movie. I was hoping that wasn't going to be the twist, but it was, unfortunately. And I was like, really? That's the direction you went in? And sadly, the kills are just okay. I mean, like all these movies, they're not real graphic or anything. It's more creativity that the kills go for. They're really the methods of the way they kill people is pretty unique, but the kills themselves are pretty cheap. Like, we don't get real good practical effects or nothing. We usually just get to see the aftermath. And in the end, this is a pretty terrible sequel due to its characters and dialogue. But considering this is a straight-to-video sequel that came out in 2008, I was actually expecting a lot worse. It's still a terrible movie, but it's still kind of watchable. Coming into third place, we got Sleepaway Camp 3 from 1989. This one has an interesting premise. It has Angela pretending to be another camper to get back into camp and start her killing spree again. And Bruce Springsteen's sister, Pamela Springsteen, reprises her role as Angela, just like she was in part 2. And she nails the role. I mean, she got it down pat. And this movie's very similar to part 2 on the way things play out. But at least they change up the setting a bit. We're not right at the camp. We're more in the woods camping. And I feel like since this was filmed back to back with part 2, I feel like that's why it shares a lot of similarities. But this is definitely the lesser film. This feels even more cheesy than before. And again, most of the kills are off screen, even though they're still very creative. I think its biggest problem is that it doesn't stand on its own. It's not very original. It's something we've seen before in this franchise. But we're getting more of the same, but that same is very entertaining. Now, getting into our top 2, it was really hard for me to choose between these two. I really had to think about it, but on rewatch, I came to a conclusion. And coming in the second place, we got Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers. Now, this one, we get Angela back, but not the same actress. This is not Felissa Rose. This is Bruce Springsteen's sister, Pamela. And obviously, Felissa Rose was in college at the time and wasn't able to come back to reprise the role. And this new Angela has become a counselor herself, and she's much more talkative than before. Basically, she's super strict, and if you don't follow the rules, you're gonna die at this camp. It's a pretty straightforward slasher, but it has a lot of fun with it. Like, there's not a whole lot of plot here, but it's fun to see the camp setting. It's very 80s, and it's really cool to watch all these campers interact with each other. And if you like nudity, this is the movie for you, because I'm telling you, there's girls flashing the camera every probably 2 minutes in this film. And of course, the kills are pretty great in this film, actually. Again, we don't always get to see the actual kills. A lot of times it's the aftermath or like a shadow or whatnot. But I feel like this is at an all-time high for creativity. We get a really big body count in this one, and there's one really cool scene that pokes fun at the other horror slasher villains, which I thought was a whole lot of fun. And like I said, the effects aren't amazing or anything, but the methods in which she kills her victims are really unique and satisfying. This slasher does not take itself seriously one bit and has a lot of fun along the way. But coming in the first place, I had no choice but to choose Sleepaway Camp from 1983, the cult classic. And on first glance, this just seems like your standard low-budget slasher movie with a big WTF twist at the end. But it's on rewatch where you start to pick up more things and you start to notice the film's charm in an almost so bad it's good type of way. Like whether you're talking about the aunt that talks like she's like one of the worst actors I've ever seen. She talks like she's in a 1950s play or something, and it's like so off compared to all the other actors in this flick. Or like the softball game that lasts like 10 minutes long. And it's just all the little things like that that's on rewatch you tend to appreciate more and more. Or like the cop that had to come back for reshoots and he has the fake mustache and it's so obvious. And it's all the little things like that that just makes this film great. I love most of the characters in this flick, and their interactions are real entertaining. Aside from the cook, that pedo cook, I think that he should have died. Like, why let him live? Yes, he got burned pretty bad, but if it was me writing this, he would have been dead, dead, dead in a really gruesome way. Maybe they thought that keeping him alive with those burns would be a worse punishment, but I just hate to see him still alive. I love Ricky, though, and Angela as kind of our leads in here. They feel like real kids. I mean, this is more like a coming-of-age film. And they're at the camp. This feels like real summer camp with real kids. The way they act with each other, how they're always picking on each other and that. There's a certain amount of realism there. I like how Ricky's always trying to be a good cousin and protecting Angela. And I like how Angela slowly starts coming out of her shell as the movie comes on and starts speaking a little bit more and such until we see the big twist at the end. And of course, Judy plays the perfect bitch. I wouldn't have her any other way. She's one of those characters you love to hate. And of course, the dialogue really adds to the charm. Like, eat shit and die, Ricky. Eat shit and live, Bill. Or like, Angela, why are you so fucked up? It's just the way they talk. It just puts a big grin on my face every time. And even though this is a cheesy slasher movie, there is still a few horrific scenes, which I feel like this is the only entry in this franchise that actually tries to go for the horror. While the other ones, it's definitely more comedy, and there's horror comedy in there just with the kills, but this one actually has some pretty good atmosphere at times. And I feel like a broken record with the kills here, but every one of these movies has just mediocre kills in sight, like watching them, but the aftermath and all that is great here. And we get this really cool kill with a hair straightener and a silhouette, like a shadow on the wall, where it's like, you don't really need to see that thing. I feel like the way they shot that with the silhouette worked perfectly, and we all get what they were going for. And of course, you can't talk about this movie without talking about the twist. How bonkers is this twist? It's definitely in like the top 10 most crazy twists of all time. It's actually a really good mystery that they play out that you don't really see coming, but on rewatch you can see all the clues they left behind for you. And the first time I saw this, it's shocking, man. Like, what else is there to say? And it's actually pretty frightening the first couple times you watch it. And I think that's just like the sound design in that, and the way the face is just, it just stays on that face, right? And it's just something you just don't imagine to ever see in a film. And I think there's a message in this film that really relates to nowadays with trying to change your kid's gender in that without their approval, without them even talking. Like, they want to have like sex education classes for like kids in grade 4 nowadays, and asking them, do you feel like a boy or a girl or whatever. It's like, let the kids figure that shit out on their own. And I feel like this movie tackles that subject pretty well. And in the end, I think if you watch this movie as more of a just an 80s R-rated coming of age film, you'll have a really good time, and it actually helps the movie. If you go into this expecting like a serious slasher, it is there, but it's not the best at being the slasher. It's really good at showing you the interactions with these kids and how they're growing up and dealing with their problems. And I think that was the whole heart of the 80s, right? Whether you're talking about Stand By Me or all these coming of age movies, Breakfast Club, this is just like another version of that at camp, which just happens to be a slasher. And if you're like me and watched this and thought it was a mixed bag or just pretty mediocre, definitely give it another chance. It gets better on every watch. You pick up on the dialogue, on all the characters, and you start to love some of them. And it easily comes in the first place in this franchise. So there you have it, guys. There's my ranking of all 4 Sleepaway Camp films. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down below in the comment section what's your favorite Sleepaway Camp movie, or how would you rank them. I'd love to have a discussion with you in the comments. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching.